Yo, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Crypto Street Podcast, episode 100 and something another. This is Dale, Crypto Dale. I have got my Twitter back, rocking and rolling about what? Maybe a week. Not even. It's just been
Not even.
wild. It's been wild. The first, if you know what, honestly, it felt like the first day that I got it back, the first like 3 hours were just like, remember when we were running that deep in that bull run last year and you would easily get like a couple hundred followers a day?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it felt like. It was like, what do you call it when you people, Prince? What is it? You
What,
always say?
euphoria? You were euphoric?
No, like people always seeking likes and stuff.
Clout? Looking for your clout?
I don't know. Whatever. That's what I felt like. Or the dopium or
I'll be
something.
honest, like, I've actually had the same. I've been getting more followers lately, and I don't understand because it's not like I actually post any content that is good. My stuff is just garbage usually, right? So it's like if you're looking
People
for
just
any,
love the shit posting.
I guess,
You've amped that up a little bit.
yeah, you could tell I'm bored because the stupid posts they start to go up if I got nothing to do through the day. So
what have you been doing? What have you been up to?
nothing, man. Shit posting, like
Living the dream.
yeah, pretty much. No, it's weather's good. There's a lot of snow. We got dumped like 6 inches of snow on the weekend, and it's already melting away.
Damn.
Yeah, we get some good weather out here. It's got a little bit of everything.
That's crazy. So Killer is busy tonight, unable to make it with us. So we're gonna try and whenever there's one of us missing, it always feels a little strange, not gonna lie. Especially on my end, because realistically, I feel like I'm like the, so to say, the grease that keeps the gears grinding, because I don't really know much compared to you two, Prince. So I just kind of like keep things going afloat. But now when one of us, well, like you or him are gone, I actually kind of have to maybe sound like I know something. So, but really pumped about our guest today. She's just, awesome, fantastic. So it's, people know her as Nick Trades on Twitter, Nicola Duke. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us.
Hello, God, I'm really blushing. What a lovely
Oh,
introduction.
stop. No, you're not. You're just trying to make us feel good.
I know, I'm trying to sound awake because it's 3 a.m. my time. So
Oh my gosh.
I'm awake.
That is crazy. So thank you so much for waking up.
No problem.
And doing this. We're really excited to have you. I'll follow you on Twitter and love your stuff. So why don't we just kind of start off, Nick, and just kind of tell everyone how you got into crypto, what it was that drew you to and keeps you going in it.
Oh, well, way back when, I bought my first Bitcoin when it was $11 because I was in a trading room. Yeah, I was a professional trader and working in a trading room with a guy. There's quite a lot of drugs in pop trading.
Yeah.
Not the kind people think, but like there's a lot of Xanax and stuff to keep you calm, because once you get into trading, you realize that staying calm is often part of the game. And it was just one of the guys in the trading room, and he started talking about it, and he would not shut up about it and how great it is, and we should all get some. And we just got to the end of the 1 week, and I'd had a really good week, and we all had a bit of cash floating around, and so I bought some, and I had it forever in on a laptop, and didn't do very much with it, and then sold it at like 220 and thought I was a genius.
Yeah.
and then it kind of went, and then I noticed it one day. I was like, oh my God, I need to buy it back, and didn't missed it when it came back. And since then, I've been following it really closely. I suppose I got much more into it in sort of 2012, 2013. But yeah, I've been really tweeting about it since way back.
Yeah. And what's funny and kind of humorous to me is when all these people are saying that, like the people that have been in it since the early stages on how, they always say, quote unquote, they got lucky. Well, think of it this way, in my opinion, like you did, you bought at 11, sold at 200. That is like a banging trade, that is phenomenal.
God, yeah, we really did all think we were geniuses.
Yeah. And a lot of these people have held it and, were able to sell some 15,000 plus some of their stacks. So, getting lucky, in my opinion, you got lucky that you came upon it, and then you have balls of steel to be able to hold that long.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. No, it was fun. Like we used to watch the price every day, and it went up to $15, and we were like, "Wow!" And it went down to $8, and we were like, "Wow!" And it was fun. But yeah, it was the good old days. So
but you've been trading for a long time. Like you've been in the
I'm really
markets a
old.
lot longer. Like you got the experience that a lot of the young crypto traders, we don't even got, not even
yeah. And it's such a nice market for people who've traded other markets or traded for a long time, because it's such real animal spirits. There's really no, like most of these, don't really have any fundamentals except maybe we're going to have an ETF or not. And so it's really price and animal spirit. So I love it. I pay a lot of attention to sentiment.
What do you find yourself trading more so nowadays? Do you kind of you shift back and forth? You go into the legacy markets. What gets most of your attention these days?
Yeah, because I kind of really kept my toe in the door in the legacy markets until last June, and then I quit my job at a hedge fund trading currency just to trade crypto full time. I was making more money in my private trading than I was at my work, and I had a lot of backing. So
that's big.
Yeah, so I thought, okay,
time to make the move.
Yeah, and it was kind of fun because I thought, I'll start a face group, and we'll do it all together. It'd be fun, So it has been really fun. Like this year's been tricky though. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think the bear market. I was expecting quite a bad bear market, but not this bad.
Yeah, I think it's caught a lot of people, even because yourself, you've been around here forever. And I know I've talked to a few others who have, they have that same type of experience in crypto, and all around the board, it's kind of like, oh, this one's really sucked. Like this one is pretty bad. How have you navigated it so far?
To be honest, I'm a bit of a trend following trader anyway, and I use a moving average system. So, really, we haven't had a decent, the bounces have all been kind of counter trend. So I've navigated it okay a couple of times. I think we went so long sideways at 5,800, 6,000 that I thought, maybe we're just going to skip the wave 5 and we're going to go from that level, but never had a buy signal there. I really was shocked that we lost that we dropped this weekend. I thought that support around 4,000 would hold and that would be it. So, and even if we didn't, I didn't think that we'd keep going. But it's a good lesson, that crashes come from oversold conditions when people step in and try and buy, and that's like the last flushes. That's kind of what it feels like. So I think we've got further to fall now.
Yeah. Well,
not what anyone wants to hear.
just and not any say concrete calls or anything, but just just looking at a chart, what would you say if you had to throw out a guess out there on where you think the dreaded B word, the bottom, may be? What would your thoughts on that be?
Between I think that maybe 2,400 to 3,000. I think Bitcoin kind of always overshoots. But
definitely.
That's a good point. Yeah, Bitcoin always overshoots. It's
otherwise it's literally half that. It's like 1,250.
Yeah.
Boy.
What's weird is that when we hit 4,000, everybody was like, "Oh, we're going to hell. We're going to 1,000." And I was like, that kind of made me really sure that we'd made a bottom. And now people are going, oh, I think I'll step in. Yeah, this feels like a bottom now. and whenever people still doing that, you think, oh no, we've got further to go.
We got a long ways to go. Yeah,
this is my thing. Right? Because I've been trying to figure out. Now I've been working to get money back into the market this past week, and you see everybody is panicking, and you're feeling pretty confident. You're like, okay, I see some extreme fear out there. I feel good about starting to move money back into the market. And then, like you said, we start going down a bit more. Everyone's calling the bottom, and it's like, okay, maybe I should put a little pause.
Hold off a little bit.
Let's hit a pause.
Yeah, I think one thing, Nick, like you said, the market sentiment is such a huge thing in from what I've gathered in this time that I've been in here. It's really funny, I always tell everybody back in early January, I was like I was telling my wife, I was just like, holy shit, like this is just so easy. And now, now looking back, how in the hell did I not realize I should have sold every single thing I had? Thinking back. So, I think a lot of people have a lot of stuff to learn in this space, and going through a bear market is going to should make you a better trader overall. I see a lot of people out there saying, if you're not building in the bear market on anything, well, building can essentially be improving your personal trade style and, building your personal self and kind of going from there. But, what I'm kind of getting at is, do you see a lot of correlation between like a traditional market and the crypto markets?
A lot of correlation. Yeah. Starting to see more and more. And the big change for me, I think, came when the futures came in. Because then and this weekend is just like a legacy. What happened this Saturday night with that drop is just like we would call that in FX a drive-by shooting, because in legacy markets there are certain really quiet times a day when people have stopped trading in Europe and gone home. It's the end of the day in the US, but the Asian markets haven't woken up yet, and so it's really thin liquidity, especially in some markets like gold and metals, oil. Right. All of them. So if you wanted to move the market and spend the least amount of money to move the market, that's the kind of time of day you would do it. And so, every now and then you'd see it in FX, something would get completely smashed and nobody there to defend it. And we'd call it a drive-by shooting. And that feels like what happened on Saturday night. Like, why did it drop at that time on a Saturday when, for pretty much since futures have started, weekends have been really, really quiet and pretty much supported, no dramatic moves at all. So it feels like, it's got nothing, this drop's got nothing to do with a hash rate or all this rubbish. No. It's, somebody wanted to break that support and smashed it. So now everyone's going, what next? What next?
It smashed it.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
It did smash it, man. Yeah. I mean,
it's funny though, because it's like you said, there's this hash rate thing, and it's not that, and that's just the narrative to, try and give people a reason. But
what are they frightening people? Like the price, like it should become cheaper to mine Bitcoin if the price goes down. Yeah, this is normal.
Well, and like, from my, different studying of past crashes in Bitcoin and all that, seeing miners, have to, in a sense, miners capitulate too, and seeing them go through that, seems to be something that's a part of the cycle.
Well, they have to be shaken out. Like since the start of the year, like, I think when we got up to 15, 20,000, like they must have been, the miners must have been like gearing up as well. I don't think they thought this pullback would last as long. And, the hash rates, at August prices were August, we were 6,800, 7,000. Now we're half that. So. There is more maybe there's more shakeouts to come. I think that's just the narrative. So
and it always needs a narrative, right? Like
it does.
There are some really big players with really big stashes. They can move the market if they want.
Well, and it's for a large part, it's a thin market, right? Like compared to other markets, it's someone has the experience and they have the capital, they can move things, in their direction.
And we haven't even sold the Mount Gox stash allegedly yet. So like if somebody wanted, if you there are people, you hear stories out there. I hear that all the time. People ask me, "Oh, do you know where I could buy a lot over the counter? Do you know anyone?" And I always pass them on, and then I always hear, "Oh, the deal didn't quite go through." And like if you wanted to buy a lot, why wouldn't you just contact them and do it quietly? If you wanted to buy it without moving the market, I'd be writing to dear Mr. Administrator,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I remember now, I could be mistaken, but there was another point where there was some selling going on a while back, and they were just doing it all in the open market, which kind of blew me away. It was like, this amount of capital that you guys are deploying here, like, why wouldn't you look for more of an OTC trade, like, instead of just open market,
Yeah, I kind of like that it's not that's not over the counter that we can see it, because that's
It
always
is
my
nice,
concern, that you can trust the volume on the exchanges as being like representative volume.
Yeah, and we definitely like there's not a lot of transparency when it comes to crypto, right?
And I think
So,
there are people that are monitoring the wallets so they can see,
Yeah.
when they're moving in and out of hot and cold. So
yeah, and I think someone said it in the chat here that FUD really isn't doing anything anymore. And in my opinion, I think that there's one of two things. Personally, it's the bear market. Like people are already pretty low in the dumps, and then also, Nick, do you think that could be a sign of maybe a maturing market?
Yeah, I do, but I still get people that contact me and they've hodled from the highs. They're 70% down, or
geez.
Shall I sell here? And it feels bad because I feel like we do have further to fall, but if you've hodled it here, you should just hodl.
Yeah.
And I know that some people will say that's terrible advice. It can go to zero, but
you've already eaten so much of it
that you were prepared to risk and lose entirely because that's really what hodl means. You may as well wait for the next upswing.
It's funny. Well, I was talking with a friend today actually, and he was like, I don't really think it's right to call anything a long-term investment when it comes to like altcoins or crypto. He's like, and going back to when I first got into crypto, and around the kind of, I'd say December-ish, November, earlier maybe, but it was things where, because it was such a bull market, you would look at them like, oh, this is a long-term investment, and now the bear market comes around and it's like, oh, this has just lost 95% of its value. I guess this isn't a long-term investment anymore, or I guess it is no matter what now, but it's kind of funny just because of crypto, it's such cycle dependent, right? And I think people, we fall into the trap, right, of kind of in the euphoria, and then we start thinking it's like, oh, this is a legit investment, whereas personally I think a lot of these altcoins are going to zero, right?
Going nowhere.
Exactly, right? So it's like, how do you call it a long-term investment, right? It's like,
I think we need to differentiate between Bitcoin and altcoins in that respect. Like, but because before, though, accumulating bags whenever it was cheap worked. Now, people are conditioned to think that, I bought one that went to zero, so.
And a thing that I think all you guys talking reiterates is, when you enter a trade, you have got to have a plan. I mean, you need to have a plan of, here's where I'm looking at getting into, here's my stop loss, and then here's where my I always do 1, 2, and 1 or 2, 3 sell targets. And this just goes back to learning stuff in this bear market, is look how much of your assets have depleted by holding or hodling, whatever. And it looks back, and I can't help it, I have had a couple bags that if I would have listened to my original plan, I'd have a lot more capital, that's for sure.
I think that what happened for a lot of people was they got in these ICOs as initial investments, and they got in at early on pre-sales or stuff. So in your head, you're thinking, well, this is just an investment. I'll just put it there and wait for it to mature, kind of thing. And then, oh, look, shit. That's certainly what happened to me. So, but I think perhaps there was when I think those ICOs worked really well when everything was going up, but perhaps I should have not done it in the bear market.
There was a time, right, where it was like, you're almost, if you were in crypto and you weren't getting into ICOs, it's you were missing out on you're missing out on serious opportunity, and it's now the time has really changed. Now it's like you don't even want to be going near those. But
and I think two people are so dead set on finding that next Bitcoin where it went from like you, Nick, $11 to 19,500 and whatever. I think people are so focused on finding that they overlook the 2-3x profit, which is still phenomenal. I mean,
crypto is kind of toxic for a mentality when you get used to these gains that it can give you. I find, because it's not, it's like you go to any other market and you're going to be hard pressed to find the kind of volatility, the kind of gains that you can make in crypto. We get spoiled here, I think.
Oh, definitely. And I think the lower we go, the bigger the moves are going to be. I mean, look at Bitcoin Cash SV. Went up like 30% this morning when I was talking. It's ridiculous.
It was another 30, or I think it was like 60% the day before too, right?
Yeah, it's like
it's like, why you don't even need to short Bitcoin with futures. You can just buy SV right now. It's like
I know, nutty.
Yeah, it's crazy. What are when you're looking at a trade, potential trade, now you don't need to go exactly into what you do if you don't want to, but what are some things that you're looking for when you're eyeing up a potential position?
Okay, there's two kind of places I look for a trend. So I look for a market that's trending already, so and hasn't been, or has just started to go from sideways to trending. So it's broken out, or it's been a long time going sideways and then had a big move. And then I look for pullback entries and I'll stalk them. I'll wait for a couple of days and buy pullbacks. I like to buy pullbacks. Or I'll look for markets that are really quiet, bunched up, really narrow range, and I'm looking for a breakout trade that hopefully will continue and start a trend. So those, I suppose, would be the two main things that I look at. So I'm always trying to buy pullbacks and pullbacks towards moving averages or support to continue the trend.
What's your typical holding period for a trade?
Oh, anything from a day and a half to sort of some, I would say normally sort of 4 or 5 days, 2 weeks, but sometimes it'll be a bigger swing than that. I tried to swing. I have traded short term. I traded in my career oil for a long time, mainly intraday. So in futures, you pay a premium for holding overnight. So a lot of people will day trade in futures for that reason, just so you don't have to pay overnight margin. So,
hey Nick, how did you get into trading? Like it's
like trading's my second career. Really, I was an air traffic controller, and I'd always been interested in stocks and shares, and my mom had always been really into them. And they did an experiment where they thought that air traffic controllers would make really good traders, and it turns out that most didn't. They were too risk adverse and wouldn't take risk. But of the group that they took from Heathrow, one of them absolutely smashed it, and it was the only woman that they took. And I was like so bummed. I wished I had been there and been one of the ones selected. And so it was in my head. I was like, I would never have thought of it as a career until I heard about this. And then I thought, God, I could learn to trade. And then I did it for ages. And then I thought, I'm going to learn. So I'm going to teach myself. And so, I am self-taught. But a lot of people are. I didn't come through the graduate program at a bank as a trader. But, if you have this is a good lesson for everybody. If you have a good enough track record and you can prove that you have an edge and you're profitable, then you can get hired professionally. Nothing else matters. So.
Yeah, that's big, I think, because you're saying, you've have that history with some pretty big, firms and all that. And coming as it wasn't your, sole focus, I guess, when you were young, and it was your second kind of career choice. I think that's really cool because I think there's that
I've done some hard things in my life, but learning to trade by far is the hardest. Oh my God, it's so it's so mentally, it's the simplest thing you will ever do, and yet it's the hardest thing mentally that you will ever do.
So much of it, and it's I find myself thinking about exactly this, right? It's like it can really be such a simple thing to do, but it's just not. Like, we don't let it be simple, and it's like this constant battle within yourself. And it's like to be a good trader, you have to go against a lot of your natural instincts as a human being. It's just a fascinating, kind of pastime to me. It's just Yeah.
I think that's where your point about having a plan comes in, because you know, otherwise you spend so much mental capital. If you have a plan, you say, okay, I'm going to buy here, I'm going to sell here, this is my stop loss, and that's where I'm at. That's it. Then you don't have to think about anything else. It's going to hit your stop or it's going to hit your target. But if you don't have a plan, then the whole time that you're in the trade, you'll be questioning it. Is it really going down or is it not? Is it going to come back? Like, what should I do? Should I? And so you spend a lot of mental capital that you don't need to do if you have a plan, because if you have a plan, then you just know. So that's what I think anyway.
Nick,
but it took me a long time to learn that. I thought, oh no, I'm a genius. I can be, you know, one of the think traders. Oh yeah.
It's funny because whenever I start, you know, it's actually, we just did an episode last week with Bandit, the Australian fellow, and he really got me back onto like the right page, because I find, you know, it's that thing about having a plan, and it can be very easy to drift away at times. And I find, especially when you start having, I find, you know, you start getting some success in a row, and then in your mind you get a little like, okay, well, let's take this chance because things have been working lately. Let's just do it, even though, you know, last week or something or the week before I wouldn't have done this, but let's just do it. And you know, I found myself I was kind of taking too many of those chances, and then it was like looking at my portfolio after the end of the week, and it's like, okay, well, what the hell did I just do here? Like, what happened? And it was as simple as just, you know, not actually following a plan.
Yeah. I used to work with a guy, and if he had a really big win, like a really big day, he would take the next day off because he would always get it wrong the next day.
Oh man, that's
overconfidence.
My case too.
Yeah, always. And so that's a good lesson, actually. But I was mentored by somebody, and he would say, right, you have your plan, and if you stick to your plan, whether you make money or not, then you should reward yourself at the end of the day. And if you sometimes if you don't stick to your plan but you make money, that's like the worst lesson. The market's a terrible teacher, because sometimes it will reward you even when you've done everything you shouldn't have.
That's that's like you first enter the market. That's usually that's at least what happened to me. It's
so like, so if you do that, you should go home and eat like ramen and punish yourself whether you made money or not. So,
Nick, you mentioned you were self-taught. You know, what for people listening that aren't, you know, as experienced of a trader as you are, what are some suggestions you would make to them to better their trading?
I would really say learn a simple strategy. So there's a couple of books, you know, where you can learn simple strategies. I think Street Smarts by Linda Raschke, or just simple things. So learn one setup. So you learn one setup and then you perfect how you execute it, you know. So you have to stalk entries and you know, execute it well. Too many people like see their setup, don't pull the trigger because they're like, oh no, it doesn't, is it right? And then they wait, and then they're late, and they chase the trades and stuff like that. So I would say learn a setup at a time, and simple setups, and exits are really, really, really important. More important than your entries, how you manage your trades. And I would work on that. So do one thing at a time, and then work on your trade. Well, I didn't get profitable until I really worked on my trade management. So I would have a strategy. You know, everyone will tell you where to buy. Very few people will tell you where to sell, or this is the top, or you know, or this is your exit. So make sure your exit strategies or your plan for how you're going to manage it is as robust as your entry. Like, I didn't know that much technical analysis when I started. I learned bit by bit, and so I would literally take partial profits when I hit sort of 3 times my risk. So if your risk is, you know, the amount you lose if you're wrong, I would wait till I got to 3 times that amount, and I would cut my trade in half, and then I would wait till I got double that, and then see how far they would go. So and I literally had to do it that way. So yeah, learn simple strategies, learn support and resistance, and focus on managing your trades.
Position sizing. Like actually probably my biggest crutch is right there is position sizing. It's, you know,
it's hard to do because in Bitcoin, or for most people, like if you learn it in FX all the time, because you have so much leverage in foreign exchange. You know, you have to position size correctly or you get wiped out. Whereas what tends to happen for people when they start in crypto is they have X amount to invest and they're like, okay, I'm all in investing. And then when you have a losing trade, people think we must be wrecked and wiped out, and you're like, no, I had to stop, you know. So, yeah.
Let's bring it back memories now of first start trading. Send the little Bitcoin I bought over to BitMEX, and then it was like every trade was using the full balance of the account and then leveraging it up. And pretty much if I took a loss on the trade, I was losing my account. It was you only do that so many times before you finally go, okay, either time to wake up or just go find something else to do.
Right, exactly. No, it's but you know what, you learn these lessons when you feel the pain of the lessons, you've learned them well. That's what I feel.
Yeah, the pain gets a little too real at times.
I know.
I think though some people, you know, that's the pain is the best way to learn.
You need it, you won't learn if you don't get kicked in the ass, right?
And I've said this multiple times on here. You know, I bought Ethereum when I first got in, and then it quickly doubled in a couple months. And you know, Nick, like you mentioned earlier, I was like, "Holy shit, I am
a god!
No, I'm untouchable. No one can stop me." And then you know, I sold, and then the very next day I bought something, and then it literally like it always happens to people. You buy, and then it insta dumps 5%, and I'm like, ah, shit. You know, so.
That is that is something people should learn, because very often, you know, when you put a trade on, the first move it'll make will be against you. So you really do have to have a plan of where you're wrong, or how far you're going to let it come back, or, you know, where your stop's going to be before you put it on, I think, and kind of get used to that uncomfortable feeling. Because much of the time when you are trading, I think that's the one, I would say the one transferable skill that I got from my previous life was being able to feel uncomfortable and not enjoy it, but still make good decisions, smart decisions. So,
yeah, for sure. And I think people need to know profit's profit, whether it's, you know, if you have $100 and your compound interest rate, I think, is like 3% a day over 9 months, you'll have $23,000, which is, you know, pretty crazy if you think about it. I believe, I know someone's probably going to call me out for my faulty math, but something like that.
No, profit's profit, and protect it. You know, move stocks up. Be prepared to get in and get out again. So what, you know?
Right.
All right.
So I think that's pretty, you know, with having someone like you on, I feel like we spit a lot of knowledge out at
it's like it's one of those things where we could probably talk forever and just pick your brains forever. But it's like, you know, at some point you got to wrap up. It sucks.
Yeah. I definitely, you know, want to thank you, Nick, for coming on. It was really great. I'm sitting here and I have a whole page of notes pretty much of things you were saying. So always great to have someone that comes from the traditional market to the crypto side, so we can kind of, you know, play some correlation or whatever. So want to thank you. Any final parting words before we sign off here?
No, I just say, I think good luck. Like, the fact that we're so depressed, I think, means the bottom is not that far away.
I agree.
We got to get close.
Yeah. So thank you very much. I just want to give a quick shout out. I'm actually, for some reason, I agreed to talk to the University of Louisville Blockchain Club tomorrow night. So I might have to have Prince in my ear helping me out. So
lucky them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll see about that after the talk. So just want to give them a quick shout out. I know some of them are listening. So Nick, thank you very much for being on again. Twitter, Nick Trades, @NickTrades. So follow her. She's fantastic. Learn a lot from her. Prince Dale signing off. Tip your waitress. Get them hoot skis. Thanks, guys. Stay safe. We'll chat with you soon.